This is Rob Zombie. You can listen to iWalter. I haven't heard it yet, but maybe it's good.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird brain. It's a plane. It's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
Yes, it's Walter. Let me turn up my sound so I can hear myself. Yeah, you know what? It is Sunday, October 16th, and it's almost midnight. So it actually will be the 17th. I have a couple things now tonight. I'm just going to give you a heads up. This is going to be, purely political, and it's going to definitely be anti-Hillary. So for those who don't like me talking against Hillary Clinton, I would just tell you, you probably don't want to bother to listen to tonight's show. Now, I haven't done a show actually over about a week or two, and part of that was because I was waiting to do a show with Roberto, the director who made the film of years ago of God, I'm drawing a blank right now. Roberto. Phantasm. Sorry about that. So it never happened. It's supposed to happen sometime this coming week. But I'm not going to, lay all my eggs in one basket and think that it's going to happen because it could very well fall through. So I have that, they might happen, it may not, but I'm not dependent on that. And I apologize. Tonight I actually did turn on the fan on low in the background because it's just, the temperature seems to be going up again around here. Actually, I don't even know if I can check that out. Actually, hold on 1 second. Okay, I was wrong. I was right. I left my thing on. Yeah, let me see. I have my iWatch that I am keeping this time because it's smaller. I've had it for about 2 weeks or a week or whatever. And it says high 79. Or 69, I'm sorry. Yeah, 79. Got to be boiling. Norristown, 58, mostly cloudy, high 69. So right now, I guess it's like 58 degrees. It's just like extremely warm for this time of year. And I hate to be one of those people who likes, this is not global warming, or it is, but it certainly is just unusually warm. There's no way to tell what the temperature is going to be, at any given time. I mean, nobody can really prove or disprove the fact about global warming, but I'm playing the middle ground. I'm not going to take either side on that. Let me put it that way. Hey, by the way, before I get into any dark or deep discussions, it was kind of funny because I don't know how she did it. I've never had any success. But there's this girl. She's very cute because I've never saw her what she looked like. She's actually now made it on Jimmy Fallon. This girl named Colleen Ballinger. She was on Jimmy Fallon, and I noticed it was on Netflix now. She's got actually a TV show. She does this character, and it was like, how did this girl even she's made it as big as, around here. She had a meet and greet. It was like, you got to be kidding, because this girl was on YouTube, and she plays this character she made up called Miranda Sings. This quirky, goofy-looking girl who she actually... was basically a thing that she did on YouTube, and it's apparently gotten so popular now she has her own TV show. Actually, it says it's called Haters Back Off, and it was on Netflix. So she got picked up from Netflix. I mean, yeah, it's not quantum leap, it's not a quantum leap to a major network, but still, she's got a TV show that she's getting paid for, better than I've ever done, and she's been very consistent with this character she's made up on YouTube. And, like I said, she was actually on Jimmy Fallon. I've never really seen what she would look like as herself. And when I saw her, I was like, wow, that girl is really, I hate to say it, but she's really hot. So I have that. By the way, on Saturday I had to get my car, inspected. So I set this up last week, and I go in there. I worked the night before. I was up until, I was at work until 5 a.m. My appointment was at 10. I get home. I couldn't go to bed. So I was kind of like goofing off a little bit because you never can go to bed right when you get home. So I was up until actually I wasn't goofing off. I was up until 8 o'clock in the morning. Slept for about an hour and a half, and I had set my alarm. It was like it went off as soon as I fell asleep, which I expected. And the reason I was up really late, again, it wasn't that I was goofing off. A little bit at work that night when I had a chance on my breaks, and actually in the morning hours when I got home, I got so tied up into this, and I do a very good job, but I finally successfully was able to get my my Facebook page. I had to get a new one, so I lost like 10 years worth of pictures, literally, that I posted on there, and that was only where I backed them up was on Facebook. So it's 10 years worth of pictures that are like completely gone that I'm never going to get back. Some of them I have, but a lot of them I just lost. Excuse me about that. So anyway, I dropped my car off at the Volkswagen dealer around our house. And this person paid a lot of money, and it actually looked pretty sharp. But they got their car completely painted with Star Wars graffiti on there. I mean, not like graffiti, but like real high stated artwork. And the guy, I asked him at Volkswagen, is that like your car or something? They said, no, that's somebody's real car. And they paid a couple grand to get this painted, and they got it all decked out with all the different Star Wars. So it was a Volkswagen Bug. I parked deliberately right next to it, and I had taken a couple snapshots. And the guy says we should see inside because it looks like it's a stick. I mean, this is a car they're going to have to own indefinitely now. There's no way they're going to be. Well, they could probably get it repainted, but they also. I mean, it might sell for the way it is because obviously they paid a lot of money to get this car painted and decked out like they do. Like I'm looking at it right now, it has Stormtroopers and Darth Vader on the hood, and it looks really sharp. The one side actually looks like, what was it? Luke Skywalker's, one from the original Star Wars. That thing he was on his planet, and that I can't remember what you call it. That flying whatever car he had in the original Star Wars. That was painted on the one side of the car completely. And then there's something from, I think they're, supposed to be episode 1. There's a little bit of segment on there, painted like that. The back is decked out to look like R2-D2. And the other side is the TIE Fighter fights with also Boba Fett on there. I'm looking at it, like I said. That's why I know. So, again, they put a lot of money in it. It's actually convertible, so it's not a cheap car to begin with. And either they destroyed the car or they might actually have made a collector's item because it's the only one like that. And it really has been heavily detailed with a lot of Star Wars nostalgic things on there. A friend was picking on it. He says, oh, it's something that only certain people would drive. And it's like, I hate to tell you this actually, to me it looks actually pretty freaking cool. If you're a Star Wars fan, you're going to definitely like that. So, but when I got my car, it needed a new battery. They said, I don't know. The car I keep very good care of. It was funny, though. My father, I opened the hood to check the new battery they put in. And he looks at the battery and says, yeah, this car, it's really dirty underneath the hood. It's like, well, you know what? I hate to tell you. That's the only thing. I usually kept the engine clean, but lately it's just, I even asked him, I said, hey, listen, can you kind of detail underneath the hood? I'll pay you for it. And they said, well, really, we don't do that. They suggested just take it to a car wash and use a high pressure, what do you call it? Hose on there. It's like, well, I don't want to do that because one, I don't want to ruin the engine, and two, I don't want this oil all over. Like if there's no oil, but I'm just saying all the dirt and the grime to be underneath or at the car wash. They're gonna get really pissed off. So, because I've gotten heavy degreasers in the past on certain cars, and it does a great job. It cleans all that crap off. But also, if you do it on the yard, it will burn the grass. And if you do it on your driveway, you can kiss your driveway goodbye because it's going to be ruined. It's going to have, permanent stains. So the stuff that you can get to clean the engine off is extremely strong. And it's just basically it's for cosmetic reasons. It's not going to affect the performance of your car at all. I mean, I could get a rag and wipe it off, which eventually I will. I just never have the time to do so. And it's not making any difference. Bottom line is I keep my car clean. So anyway, with I don't have the paperwork in front of me. It was like $225, I think, for them to do the inspection. It is a Volkswagen, so it's an import. My car is actually they don't do that any longer. It was actually built and manufactured in Germany and then imported over here. The new ones, I have a Volkswagen 2012 Tiguan. Now they make these cars strictly in Mexico, and they get imported from Mexico, not from Germany. So mine is truly what they call a German engineer car. It's no joke. It really is. So there's something to say about that. So, and it actually gets gas mileage wise for the type of car it is. It actually gets much better than I've seen on other years before and after the one I have. So it's a lot to be said about that too. But I do have a couple things on my plate. One was I kind of wanted to point this out too to a friend. He said he was trying to correct me on that I used the wrong terminology, and I don't mean to point him out, but I actually found this clip. It was from Rush Limbaugh, and it was about James Earl Jones. So when he hears it, he knows who I'm talking about. It's like, I don't mean to be an ass, but I actually did find a segment, and I said that because Rush actually said this. He said, well, we are no longer, or for years, they weren't allowed to play this plug that James Earl Jones had made, the guy who plays Darth Vader's voice. And now I can't remember the word because I wrote it down because I knew I was going to forget, and I did. Rescind. He used the term rescind. He said that James Earl Jones called and he rescinded the right for you to use that. He says, you need to pull this. I don't want my voice. So a friend of mine said, well, listen, rescind is not the word you want to use. It's not the proper term. And it was like, well, I did have to go back. Actually, I didn't go back. I actually was listening to the recap again today because it's the weekend. There's no Rush Limbaugh shows on. And literally a 3-hour show is like an hour and a half. It's not that long at all. So I looked it up, and lo and behold, what I find was that Rush did say the word rescind. So I was right. Either the bottom line is I didn't know. I was just going by what he had mentioned. I didn't come up with my own terminology. It's exactly what Rush said. And once again, I just wanted to point this out. I mean, I didn't have to, but I felt compelled to because seeing like most of the time in most people's eyes, well, my one friend, I'm mostly wrong on, which is pretty much kind of true, but not to the extent that it seems to be pointed out. So, all right, I just deleted something that was trying to point out how, they keep on saying how Donald Trump is behind on the polls, which is not true. He's actually probably a lot further ahead. And you know why, when I'm mentioning this right now, why it looks like Hillary's ahead in the polls, because there's people. When I was at this rally, by the way, the last week, and that was the last thing I've actually posted on anything with iWalter, was I had some guy do a plug from Canada who is, quote-unquote, Canadians for Trump. And that was the last thing I did. That was last Tuesday, I think, or when was that? No, last Monday, I believe. So it'd be a week from yesterday. And I haven't done a show the entire week except that, and I didn't do anything over the weekend. So maybe it's a little over a week I haven't done a show. I normally do at least one a week, but I didn't do any deliberately last weekend. I did that quick plug and a short 2-minute interview with the guy from Canada. Butch, I think he went by. So, and there was nothing else. And I got to tell you why I was up till 5 also. But I want to play that plug for my friend. I actually got one. I had to make it by hand, actually holding the mic up to the speaker, which is the same thing I'm going to do when I can do an interview with Roberto, who did the movie of Phantasm. If I can get a hold of him, he's going to be in California next weekend, or this week, I should say. So if I can get a hold of him and he sticks to his guns and says, hey, I'll pull myself out of my job to do a quick interview with you, I'll be doing it the same way. And actually, it'll sound better than the one I did, believe it or not, than this thing I pulled from this girl named Millie Weaver. So let me see if I can find Millie's real quick. Her name is actually Millie, too. I'm not even kidding. From Clash Daily with Doug Giles. Millie went out. It says, watch Hillary host volunteer event in Ohio. The results are hilarious, and they really are. So Millie actually went out in Akron, Ohio. I wanted to play that song, but I'm not sure I'm going to do this. She's a really cute girl, too. And it was hilarious because she just kind of pointed out, like, nobody's shown up to these Hillary rallies. Now, if you look at the ones for Donald Trump, there is like they're like turning people away from the doors. There's just so many people, but yet he's so behind in the polls. I wanted to talk about that. I also wanted to talk about, there's some stories I got from Hillary Clinton and how she's being hypocritical about Goldman Sachs. She says she's against it, but actually was taking money and donations off of them. Let's see. I got a story about how they're shooting down constantly. They're finding flaws in these allegations, or whatever you want to call them, against Trump having made sexual advances at these women, which I have my say in that, too, which I may just say in a minute. Yeah, there was even ones that I found some articles. This is why it's going to strictly be on politics tonight. Even on, like, I've heard about this, about her daughter, Chelsea, taking, like, millions of dollars. Like, she had, like, a $2 million wedding or something. I'll have to look for this. It's in this bunch. And how she gets paid, like, almost, like, $700,000 a year just to take care of her mother's and father's, campaigns. She's getting paid that much. She's getting paid like $750,000 a year, and it's just ridiculous. I mean, there's so much that I have on this stuff. But before I go any further, I do want to play that plug for my friend, so he'll understand that I did not just misquote something, that I actually did say what I wanted to say correctly. And there's two parts to that, so I'm going to have to read the other part. Was with Chrissy Hine from The Pretenders, how there was a thing he also said right after that, which you will hear, and I try to mention this to my friend on Saturday night, what Rush had said of how Chrissy Hine was the one who first pulled Rush's plug for his show, or whatever you want to call it, because it's a Pretender song, and how she allowed him to have it back, and there was a reason for that, which he didn't give, but I actually did find it. But what was I going to say? Something. Oh, on Friday night, while I was up until 5 in the morning, since I've gotten my Facebook page back, I've decided, like, you know what? I'm just going to be procrastinating until the end of time on what I really wanted to do once I would bring a Facebook, get myself back on Facebook. And the thing I was intending to do was to make separate from my regular Facebook page, where I just put garbage up, or news stories, whatever, which I can't even find a lot of these sources anymore. They're like gone forever. And actually, a lot of these sources were people I friended who their stories I was using to do my podcast. So I'm like really grasping at straws right now. I'm trying to rebuild this whole thing, and it's not easy. It's not easy at all. It's actually very difficult. But I'm trying. I'm slowly getting there. Not at this pace I would like to. So anyway, since I got it back up, and I'm making a hard attempt to try to restore what I once had, because they literally had taken it completely down now. There was one way, it was like a little shed of light that said, oh yeah, we're going to work on letting you get your webpage back on Facebook, or whatever you want to call it, your Facebook account. So the only reason I knew was because I could kind of glance at it from a distance. And what I had seen, though, was, some stuff. Oh, this is what's going on. It had a picture of me with when I got a meet and greet with Rob Zombie. Well, that picture has now completely been removed. So that means that everything else just kind of they destroyed that account. Like it doesn't exist. So I have no way of getting into that account anymore, which is really kind of it really bothers me. Anyway, one thing I was just mentioning, I know I'm jumping around, which is not anything new for me, but I did see this one article I do need to read. It's about Chelsea. It says Chelsea Clinton, $10 million. Has a $10 million apartment and had a $3 million wedding, and she's basically bringing in a year $600K at her job, and she says she doesn't care about money though. So there's a story in that mix I have to read about that. Now these are new people I've actually had added on as new friends because I had a lot of people over, it's a period of 10 years that I have, there is no way I can find all these people. And they were actually really good, excellent sources of information. So, but they're all gone. So now I have to, I found like one I remembered, a woman named Debbie Cortez or something. She was really good. She has been kind of staying on, staying pretty cool lately. Like normally she gets really heated up. She's a very ultra conservative, more than me, and her stories were excellent, but she hasn't put much up. I think she's trying to try not to get in too much trouble, I guess, because I tell you, being a conservative, you can get yourself in so much trouble, and it's a shame because you can't even breathe without somebody literally trying to say, "Oh, you offended me by the way you breathe." I mean, it's ridiculous. And I think she's kind of gotten the point that she's toned down. She's afraid to say anything. I'm really upset because I actually depended on Debbie Cortez for like the longest time for a lot of good stories. Here's one I just put it up, and I'm going to look at this. I'm not going to read the whole thing because I want to get back to why I set up what I did with Facebook, a new Facebook page I have, which is basically... I'll explain in a second, but it's going to be for my podcast. And so iWalter, just like the show is. So anyway, some guy just put this up, Anthony Romeo's, and it says, here are the current polls. Bill O'Reilly did his own polls of 25,000 people. It says he had a university graduate students call 250 people from each party's voter rolls in all 50 states. And here are the results that he came up with. This is Bill O'Reilly. The results were 86% for Trump and 14% for Clinton. And that was done by party-neutral calls to all 50 states. So this is a lot different than what you're used to seeing, I got to just send this to a friend. I actually had to reestablish that, too, to these friends. Let me just get this real quick. I can't even see because I have all my lights off. A friend called our private group. I shouldn't mention it, so I won't. But, because it's private, so why should I mention it? That's not a very good thing to do. So, yeah. But anyway, yeah, I kind of just basically told you in a nutshell what I did, but it had taken me, and it's not actually 100% yet, but it's the best, and I've actually am advertising. I don't know how well it's going to do, but I got enough old shows. I got like 2 years of old programming, which hopefully will help me a little bit with this advertisement now I have on Facebook for my account. So it's strictly just called iWalter, and yeah, so, and I put like $7 for 7 days, $1 a day. That's more than I really want to spend because I don't know how well it's going to do. I haven't honestly checked. So that being said, I can't really say much if it's, going to actually, suit me well or not. But I'm hoping that I'll try it out with a couple dollars this week. And if that seems to like, okay, I get at least one or, a couple listeners, then I'll put a little bit more money, but I'm not really going to depend on it until I actually see even a small result. That's what all I'm asking for, is some small, result, because then I'll put a couple dollars in here and there, when I can, for my show. So let me see. I got to go back now. Yeah, because it's now, like, when I go in, you basically just put in under, what do you call it? Under Facebook, you just put in literally lowercase I, just like my show, and a capital. I had to get that approved because at first they would not approve it. And then it was like, okay, well, that's not taken, so it's up. I'm looking at it right now. So I got a lot of pictures. Tonight's show, I'm going to try to get it linked to my new Facebook account. I'll just do it manually. It says, it says website clicks 0, email sent 0, and post reached 4. So it's kind of generic looking, but again, I'm hoping that as people go along, they'll notice this. But it says create a page at username, and I tried, but it's just called iWalter for now. It's very generic looking until I can kind of get some help from some other people and some suggestions. But again, I'm trying this to see how it pans out, and if it does, I'll continue to use that as a source of advertisement. So, unfortunately, I had a lot of celebrities over the years that I met, and unfortunately, none of those actually, I don't have them anymore, because I've gotten, like, the guy who played Brandon Roth. I can't find that picture, or maybe I did put that up. James Marsters. There was different celebrities over the years I met doing these meet and greets, and the only one I could actually dig up was Victoria Justice, which she's going to be pretty soon. I think it's for TV. Is a modern version of Rocky Horror Picture. She's playing the main character, the woman, the girl who her and her fiance go to the Rocky Horror house. Well, that's Victoria Justice. I found her picture. I got with her. And this girl named Miranda Cosgrove, but the rest of them have just kind of, I don't know what I did with them. I don't even know if I have them anymore. Not that it's going to help either way. It would have been nice just to have those to see if it kind of did kind of make a difference, but I can't tell because I don't have them anymore. So, but yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I spend till 5 a.m, and I spend a couple hours, obviously day before working on it, but it's brand new and it's still in its infancy stage of being worked on. That being said, again, I just want to get this out of the way too, and then I'll read this thing, a quote from Chrissy Hine. Is it Chrissy Hine? Because I said Himes, and he said, no, it's Hine, I think. My friend mentioned to me that I was mispronouncing her name. But before I go any further, I want to play this segment, and I just kind of marked it for myself than anything else. Basically, all I put was Rush Limbaugh, James Earl Jones. It was hour 2 on Friday. So let me fit this in right now and let you listen to it. And again, it's just to the friend mainly, but it's actually interesting, too, because I never knew this. I mean, I've listened to Rush for quite a while. I'm sorry, I'm trying to tighten up my mic stand or whatever, and it's wobbling all over the place. So let me see what let me play this now. And again, it was hour 2. I think it was like 20 some minutes into the first hour, but see, that's without commercials too, so it's not very helpful either way, because it could have been even further into the show. So here we go now, the Rush segment with why he does not play James Earl Jones anymore. And it's like 4 minutes, I think, so forgive me. And the Millie one is also 4 minutes. So let me see. I can probably get the info on James Earl Jones. I have it right here. Duration. Oh, it's 2 minutes. It's a 2-minute segment for Rush, so I was wrong about that. So here we go. Rush Limbaugh talking about James Earl Jones plug that he used to have.
Okay, back to the phones we go as promised. Is Justin in Menifee, California. Great to have you with us, Justin. Hi.
Hi, Rush. How you doing?
Very well, sir. Thank you.
I've been listening to you for about 25 years, and I started when I was a teenager. And I remember you doing an outro a long time ago to your program, and it used to have James Earl Jones on it. And I just always wondered what happened to that.
Yeah, that was James Earl Jones. You're listening to the EIB network. I'll tell you how that came to be. Johnny Donovan, who's a director of compression here, director of compression and production, ran into James Earl Jones, who at the time was doing those IDs for CNN. So and it's about 25 years ago. I forget where Johnny ran into him, but it was something social. And no, it was James Earl Jones in the studio somewhere. That's right. Okay, James Earl Jones was a guest at WABC, which is where the program originated back those days, and he was he was guesting on some other show, and Johnny Donovan ran in and asked him to say, "You're listening to the EIB network," and he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it for a while. Finally, Johnny Donovan, as director of compression, convinced him to do it. He didn't know what it was, so he finally did it, and then a couple of years later, or I forget how, but it was a significant amount of time after that. Justin, he found out about it and made us stop using it. He rescinded permission.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. It was. What did you think, that we purposely broomed James Earl Jones from the EIB network?
Oh, no. I figured it was something like that, but like Chrissy Hind, who I guess still.
Well, Chrissy was okay. Chrissy turned out to be the savior of our theme song.
Right.
Okay, hey, I'm back again. And, yeah, again, I just want to do that for the friend because he was correcting me and saying I was incorrect on the James Earl Jones thing. Now, the very last segment of that, I didn't listen to again, so I'll let you know right now, was this part about Chrissy Hine, and he said, well, she's pretty much, if I remember correctly, that she was the one who actually saved his monologue, whatever, not his monologue, his little segment at the beginning of the show. What do you call that? So I try to look, and all the sources that led to the same direction of why he was able to keep it is the one that I kind of stuck with, when it started repeating what Chrissy Hine had mentioned. Like, she does not like Rush Limbaugh. She doesn't like what he stands for, but yet she let him keep it, so it doesn't make any sense. And the reason was, quote unquote, according to this quote I found, I did a screenshot, in light of Rush Limbaugh's vocal support for your campaign against Environmental Protection Agency foolish plan to test some 3,000 chemicals on animals, she wrote to PETA, I've decided to allow him to keep using my song. I can't remember the name of the song. I did have it somewhere. It's not a big deal. And then it goes on to say, as his signature tune, so that's what it's called, a signature tune, and to donate all proceeds from the deal to further your efforts in that regard. So basically, she allowed them to keep it simply for, in return, that, hey, you can keep my song tune for your signature what is it called? Signature tune for his Rush Limbaugh show. In return, though, you have to give the proceeds that come off of that, any proceeds that come off your show, that for that segment, which is like the opening thing for his show. I don't know how that works. But basically, he has to give that to PETA, which I don't think he has a problem with. He's an animal lover. He has cats and dogs, so I don't think he had a problem with that. Now, he didn't mention that. He didn't go into detail at all in the show. Trust me, last Friday, because I listened to all 3 hours very closely. So I'm just letting you know. So I got that one out of the way. There's one I'm going to read later on, but I want to actually go to the one because I want to get my segments out that are sound bites because I'd rather get those done now and not have to fool around. So the one with Millie Weaver I want to do next. Beforehand, I got a lot of the news sources I've been using. I have Drudge I used to use. I use some, other media sources that are not political, but this time I actually went all political on linking everything on my Facebook to all these, conservative links, because my other sources are all pretty much, I forget them. So anyway, there was one I did a screenshot of, and it was Hillary, it was the Daily Caller. And some of these actually were ones that Rush reads off of, too, which I'm kind of pleased that at least I'm going in the right direction. I'm not sure about this one, but it does have as its title in the Daily Caller. They had a lot of interesting articles. In fact, most of them tonight are going to be from that. Hillary Clinton got paid $675,000 to give three speeches, 1, 2, 3, to Goldman Sachs in 2013. In one of them, the Democratic president nominee described people opposed to immigration as fundamentally un-American. Hillary in Goldman Sachs' speech, people who oppose immigration are un-American. So she's a big hypocrite. That's the problem. She's a very big hypocrite. There's no other way to put it. Now, I do want to play that soundbite now about Goldman Sachs. I'm sorry, with Millie Weaver. But I'm going to see if I can find that segment if it says any more with Millie first. That one, again, was from Millie, was from Clash Daily with Doug Giles. So here's my thing giving out again, my tripod. So sorry about that. Let's see if I can tighten it. Watch Hillary host volunteer event in Ohio. The results are hilarious. I read that already, so let me tighten this down first. That's what you're hearing in the background, by the way. Anyway, it says before I play it, this is not being cooperative at all. So just bear with me. Okay, we have seen Hillary, that Hillary is having trouble with the attendance at her rallies. Is it a sign that the voter turnout, is it a sign that voter turnout for her will be low? How is it she doing with volunteers, though? Clash Daily has responded many times on the attendance departure between Hillary and Trump rallies. If this volunteer event in Ohio is any indicator, she's in big trouble. So then Millie Weaver tried to get information on two Hillary scheduled events in Ohio. One was in Akron, and the other was in Toledo or something. Now, she basically says, watch this video, but I had to actually record it with a mic, so I apologize. It says there was 0 attendance at a Canvas for Hillary event in Akron for 2 days in a row. There was nobody showed. Literally, there was 0 people. The Akron speaker event does not list a time and location, but it does. I'm sorry. The Akron speaking event does list a time and location. So, and it says, but none is listed for the Toledo rally. No one is even answering the phone. It says Hillary can't seem to drum up support in, what is it called? The Buckeye states. Does this mean she's given up on Ohio? What do you think? Let us know with the comments. So I'm going to play this segment now. Maybe while that's happening, I'll be able to fix my little attached mic that keeps on trying to drop down on the floor. So let me do that right now. I just wanted to read that intro. I'm sorry if I messed up, but I just want to give you an idea. So here we go. The one from Millie Weaver. It's really funny, actually. You're going to hear some dead space because she's actually walking around with a cameraman, and they're looking in the windows. When you hear that dead space, she's actually, and she'll explain it, she's looking in the window of these Hillary campaign locations, and there's nobody there. And at first, there was a couple people working there. And once they caught wind of her trying to film them, they actually locked the doors and they took off. So that was pretty funny. So I'm going to play that now. Here we go.
Millie Weaver reporting for Infowars.com. We are here in Akron, Ohio, out front of the Hillary for President headquarters. It's their Ohio Together campaign. Now, they had a scheduled event today between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m., and Hillary supporters are all supposed to turn up. Well, this is what we see. We see a very small turnout, nearly, zero people really here. And on their door, they do have the event posted. The people inside do seem concerned that we're here. They seem like they've been caught red-handed. The fact that they even tried to take the sign down, but when they saw we were recording, they stopped. So this just goes to show, guys, really not much support. And this is crazy. So here you go. Let's take a look over here. Ohio Together, Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and then Sunday, 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. We are going to come back here tomorrow to see if maybe they get more support on Sunday. I doubt it.
Hi, quick question. Do you have a business card so that I could give it to our press guy?
No, I don't. But thanks for their information. If we need any questions answered, we can contact them.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. All right, very interesting. They seemed very concerned that we were just out here taking video. Turn this down.
Hey, it's Harold.
Sorry, what's your name?
Harold?
Harold. Hi, Harold. I was just wondering, is the Hillary event still going on today in Akron?
I'm sorry, who is this?
My name's Millie.
I'm sorry, what's your name?
Millie.
I'm not sure. I don't know all the events off the top of my head, but I'm happy to check for you. Is there an email you can give me, and I'll shoot you a note right back?
Sure, yeah, that'd be great. All right, so we're here, and the doors are locked. It doesn't look like anybody is here for this scheduled event today. I don't see anybody here. Nobody. Hillary's campaign has been acting very suspicious. 2 speaking events on Monday, 1 in Toledo and 1 in Akron, but no information on when and where the event is in Toledo, even though there is a time and a location given for the Akron event.
Hello. You've reached the Lucas County Democratic Party. Please leave your name, number, and a message after the tone, and we will return your call as soon as we're able.
It seems as though there's no way to get a hold of them. I've been trying to pin down an exact time and location for Hillary's speaking event. I hypothesize that there isn't a real Hillary event in Toledo, Ohio, and it's just another fake stage speaking event with bust-in supporters that's completely controlled, just like we saw in Philadelphia. Up and around Akron, we see that there are a good amount of signs for Democratic candidates up, but we don't see many Hillary signs at all. Very, very little support is coming behind Hillary Clinton right now. I mean, the fact that she can't fill up her rallies, her campaign offices are void of volunteers. She can't get people to show up. This is Millie Weaver signing off for Infowars.com.
Okay, so that was Millie Weaver from, she was reporting, as she said in the beginning, Akron, Ohio. So that was really entertaining. You know what? I did not fix my stand thing, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to be paying the price for that one. I listened to that a couple times. I thought it was really funny. That one I tried to listen to because it was just too good to not listen to. So, I got some stuff, like I said, about these sex scandals with Donald Trump. And I'm telling you, though, it's just, It's ridiculous. Now, here's one. It looks like the Constitution.com. So this might have been the one I was trying to look for. Like, I found this earlier, and it was like, okay, you got, in this one article, you got like 3 different women coming forward that they've been 30 years ago or 35 years ago. They were sexually assaulted by Donald Trump. And every time these stories, these accusations come out against him, he's got key witnesses all over the place, even back then, or people who call in character witnesses, who say that these women are full of shit. One of them, or if not all of them, actually said they were getting paid by Hillary. In some sense of the word, they were actually getting paid by Hillary to badmouth Clinton. Now, my thing is sinking, my mic. I don't know what it is. I'm not having a good time tonight with my mic thing, so I'm going to put it on hold it on my shape. So let me see if I can adjust my mic so I can be heard correctly. And I think it's okay. Let me move this mouse over. I got 2 different mice going on, 2 miskis. So, miskis. So, yeah, it says from the Constitution.com. I think that's how you pronounce it. Mainstream media trumpets Trump sex scandals, but allegations immediately debunked. It said there are a lot of allegations thrown around Donald Trump right now, and it's barely going to be scratching the surface here, but you can be sure the stories will continue to expand. And it's because this man had no allegations against him before until he started running for Republican Party president. Then that all changed. So it's a lengthy article. I hate reading them. So, and I got tons of articles tonight. Well, for me, it's a ton. It's like probably 6, but that's a ton to me. In the wake of the Washington Post NBC story that Donald Trump had made some lewd remarks while speaking with Billy Bush over a decade ago, the media has been searching for highs and lows for more women willing to accuse Donald Trump of any inappropriate behavior. And these women are like Jessica Leeds, Rachel Crooks. Well, yeah, with a name like that says a lot. And Kristen Anderson. And these women came out like out of nowhere. They literally came out of the woodwork, making up these accusations and like basically turn on the faucets. I mean, I don't mean to be, against women. I sound like it sometimes, but I really am not. And another thing is, it got disproved by Rush today when I was listening to the recap. I'm going to take a little breather for a second here. But I was kind of, and I still stick by this, I kind of find it curious in my mind. I find it curious even with, and I'm not a big fan of him. I really not a big fan of, what do you call it, Mr. Jello Pudding Man, who's got all those accusations for sex scandals with him. Now, my one friend, a lot of my friends believe it's true. I never really did, and Rush said, well, these sex scandals have been going on for years. He actually mentioned, it was like, okay, you kind of just debunked that theory that maybe he is innocent in my mind. I'm going to have to look for his name. Drawing a blank right now. So I'm looking it up. Yeah, I'm really bad with names, you haven't noticed. Bill Cosby. Yeah, I could not remember that. I still kind of stick by the fact, I stick by that, even though Rush even, again, he kind of debunked that idea in my head by saying, well, these accusations against Bill Cosby have been going on for years. And it was like, I don't care. But this man, has built his popularity, with Temple University, with family members, having a family show, Fat Alberts, you name it. He's been like a role model for a lot of people for how many years, I'm sorry. And now all of a sudden it's just like over the years, I mean, I know it hasn't just happened, so I don't mean it that way, but for many years, they've been trying to destroy that man of Bill Cosby. And it's like, people don't want to hear this, but I hate to say it, but if you get somebody started like and put that mind frame in people's heads. And I hate to say it, but it seems like it's more so with women that they're being victimized and mistreated by dominant males, beta or alpha males. They start to believe this stuff to the point, especially if there's money involved, they will do anything to destroy these people's lives. And I think personally, I'm just going to stick by what I believe, but I kind of think that's what happened to Bill Cosby. And you're talking about somebody who is not me. I'm not politically correct, and I don't have any interest in anything minus when I was a kid. I used to watch Fat Albert all the time, but I have no interest in anything Bill Cosby did, so I have nothing to gain from saying, trying to say this man was probably innocent. He was staged all these years. I have nothing to gain. Zero. Not even money. He's not even paying me anything. He doesn't even know who the fuck I am. Sorry about that. But after seeing the same thing happen, very similar thing happen all of a sudden, but for different reasons, obviously, with with Donald Trump, it makes me really, honestly, it just makes me question, is this like people's motive? Is like, if you can destroy somebody, like literally destroy a person's persona, like to the point that to the point that they've done with Bill Cosby, and now they're trying to do it with Donald Trump because he's running for president. This is like really scary. It makes me actually happy that I'm single. Like, why would I want to meet some woman that's going to just completely demolish my life and incriminate me? Because I know that'll happen. If I ever became popular, I know there's a few, like one or two in particular, who would just go out of their way just to say how I sexually assaulted them or something, even when it's not true. Just to ruin, in their mind, they felt like I probably did it. So I was like, no, I haven't. And it's not even that I even had sex with them or he made any sexual advances at them. It's just like, in their mind, they think I did. So I'm speaking from experience. That's why I even say what I am now, Sam. And it's funny because my one friend hasn't heard this. I told another friend, and this is true. But there's even a guy at work. He's a supervisor, and I like the guy, but he, this is the problem in our society too. He actually sticks up for women when they do wrong. Like, he can't find any wrong in any woman if they are wrong. Now, I'm not saying all women are wrong. I'm just saying if they are wrong, he will stick up for them and he'll find no fault in them. But this guy, he's a newer manager of mine. He finds fault in everything I do, and he rides me all the time. To the point that it's like he was being passive-aggressive the other day. And when he saw me sit down, he kept on asking, did you do this? Did you do that? Did you do this? Did you do that? And I said, yes, I've been keeping on top of this stuff. And I was like ready just to blow up at him. But then it even gets worse because then he didn't want me to sit, like, I had a desk cubicle that was taken away from me, and I got one. The only one that was available was near his desk. So I sit down just to eat, I don't even eat any solid food anymore at work anymore. I just drink these protein drinks. So what I did was, I did tell both my friends now. I'm sorry. I sat down to kind of just unwind and relax for 5 minutes on a half an hour break. I didn't even sit down for that long because what he did was, he saw me sitting there, and I actually videotaped part of it too. I can show it to a friend. Now, he wasn't looking at me, but he knew my presence was there. So he turns on his laptop, he turns the speaker all the way up, and he blasts music so loud that I was ready to jump through the ceiling. So I walked to the other end of this office area, like not even just an office cubicle, but an office area, and I could hear the music all the way down the other end of this very large building, near the bathroom of the other end of the building. So he was doing it deliberately just to get me to chase me out of the floor. Because as soon as I left, he turned the music off. You could hear a pin drop on the floor. As soon as I came back, he started turning music on or noise or radio shows or something just to aggravate me again. So it's like, well, one thing, that's passive aggressive. But this guy, though, is the same man who will defend any woman, no matter if she's being insubordinate. She's not in his eyes. And this is the reason I mention this guy. Is not to throw him under the bus, even though it seems like him. It's the fact that Most males are the same way. A man will never find any fault in any woman. A woman can never do anything wrong. And, I mean, I hate to say this, but it's true. And this is true for most men. That's where I think Trump, is my belief, is why he used that thing. And other people are using this terminology and making a joke out of it. Don't be a pussy, because most men really are pussified. They have no. I've said this a million times. If you listen to old shows, men have no balls. They definitely have no penis. They have a vagina between their legs, and that's because they allow women to do whatever they want to do. Let them walk all over them, and I can prove this in a minute. Because I don't think I've told this one friend this. I did tell the other friend, and his reaction was quite amazing to me, or alarming, whatever you want to say. But because he got very offended, not by me, but what this happened to this guy. And it's like, well, this guy will continue to let women walk all over him, this boss. And I don't deal with that. I don't let women walk all over me. Man, woman, alien from another planet, doesn't matter. I will not let you walk over me. For a little bit I will, but I'll get to the point that you're going to hear my voice, and you're going to probably think twice before you do that again. So what happened was he had, I don't mean to air his dirty laundry out, but they don't know who he is. Nobody does except people at work who I don't even know if they listen to me anymore, because bottom line is I lost that Facebook account that had everybody linked from my job. So what he was married, and he was working long hours. These bosses at my job got to work 16 hours, and it's odd days. Like they're at work more than they're at home. So what ended up happening, his wife ended up having an affair or meeting some guy online and ended up marrying him, and she dumped this guy that was my boss. She just basically said, hey, you're never home. So I needed to find romance elsewhere. I needed to find some type of somebody who would be there for me. It's like, I can't say that. If I said, well, you know what, I can't even find anybody. But if I say, well, I'm that needy, I need somebody, and if you're not there for me, you know what, I'm going to kick you to the curb. I'll find somebody else who will have the time to notice me. That's basically what happened. So his wife, he has 2 kids. His wife dumped him for somebody she met online. It seems like this is an ongoing thing that guys keep on getting, and relationships just end because of relationships that people make online with each other. I've been online or on the internet for probably 30 years. I've never experienced that at all. I mean, you have to actually seek out that kind of behavior in order to get a response. I don't seek it out, so I I never had any romantic relationship with anybody, especially online. I mean, I've had small ones, but they never lasted. But especially like the way this is, has exploded online, with people just like relationships don't last, marriages don't last because of the internet. That's because that's what people, hey, they find these people, which I actually got a good story about that too, that you never see. And they can tell you what they look like, or they can send you fake pictures or disguise themselves in many different ways. And when you meet these people, I hate to tell you, most of the times they're not what they are cracked up to be, and that makes more relationships that fail. And it's funny because I was thinking about this, and this is a perfect place to put it in. But I went out tonight, like there was no food at home, so I ran out after I did some laundry. I did some blankets and sheets. I usually do some of my stuff. I live with my parents, but I still go out to, do heavier stuff. I don't want to ruin their laundry machine. And it actually gets cleaner than using it at home, because we have an agitator washer machine. At the laundromat, they have one of those other type that don't have that agitator, which is actually ruins your clothes, the agitator. So I go out, do my laundry, come home, and was like, okay, hey, did you, I asked my parents, you don't have to, but did you bring anything back for me? Oh, yeah, a small salad, like really tiny. It's like, this is not enough to even, as my dad would say, fill a cavity. So it was like, I'm going back out. I'm going to Taco Bell. I go through the drive-thru. There's a brand new one down the road from where I live in Trooper, near Walmart. Really nice, brand new one. This girl gets on. She's got like this kind of newscaster, hot, sexy, in my opinion, hot, sexy voice. like a young girl, probably, I would think has to be at least in her late teens, early 20s. Got that really hot, sexy voice. Now, to me, a hot, sexy voice is a girl who actually speaks proper grammar, has that kind of cheerleader voice, though, but can speak proper English. Like, everything is pronounced correctly. That's what was on there. And I was like, I just kept on ordering stuff that I didn't even want. I ordered stuff from my parents because it was like, I just want to hear this girl keep on talking. She's really turning me on. And this is going to fit into what I was saying about the internet thing. So I get around and I get up to the checkout. She says, "Oh, you can go around. She asked me, can you repeat the order back?" It's like, yeah, I want to repeat it on you. I want to repeat my order on you. Like, I want to get into I want to get intimate with you. With the woman that her voice was. So I get around. It was this big, huge girl that wasn't her, though, because their voice didn't match up, that started giving me, like, what I ordered at the drive-thru and took my payment. But then there was this little girl, looked like a 12-year-old. Not that she was. She couldn't work at 12 years old. But this little girl who looked like a 12-year-old, and it was like, yeah, that's got to be her. And it was like, oh, my God, she looks... The voice does not match like what I was picturing in my head. I was picturing like some really hot blonde or something, like one of those newscasters who wear like the ultra tight skirts or whatever that, everything's hanging out. And what I saw was this girl that looked like a 12-year-old. She was really cute, don't get me wrong, but it didn't match up to what I expected to see. Why am I saying this? Well, it's the same thing with the internet. You meet up with these people, and they're never what you expect. And some people just try to get it to work. But then, what that happens, it's like you try to get it to work, but then it just ends up fizzling out really quick because you never actually meet face-to-face, because that's a large part of what a relationship is, I hate to tell you, is the visual part of it, which is gone now when you do things on the internet. What you're getting is somebody else's picture and probably somebody else's voice if you actually call them. So you never actually physically make verbal contact, because most of the contact you do is either through these media sources or through texting. You never actually physically see the person until the last moment. Then you're kind of rudely awakened that this person's not anything what you thought they were. So anyway, this guy at work who's my boss, he actually, when he broke up, somehow I don't know how he meets these women, but he met some woman who convinced him, from what I was told, convinced him to buy her. He paid the money, buy her breast implants. And what I was told, after he did so, she dumped him. So she, basically led him along long enough. The same man, what I was saying earlier, who can find no wrong in any woman, and yet he gets dumped by his wife. He gets a girlfriend soon after. And what'd she do? She takes advantage of him and manipulates him, which wasn't probably that hard because, in his mind, no woman can do any wrong. And she convinces him to pay for surgery for her to get breast implants, and then she basically leaves him behind. She dumps him. So, this guy never learns his lesson, but this is why I say, and I've said this before, we live in a society of male pussies. Like, these guys have no penis. They have vaginas. And I believe that. So when Trump said, we live in he probably used it for a different term, but we do live in a society, I think, in my words, we live in a society of pussies. I'm sorry, male pussies. These guys have no backbone. And, they cave in to anything that's politically correct. And that's just really appalling to me. I'm just letting you know. So I said it's going to be all political. I can't remember I left off on this story where I was reading from theconstitution.com, so I don't know if I need to read it all over again. I really rather would not. But anyway, maybe I'll have to. It says, once again, there are a lot of allegations thrown around Donald Trump right now, and we're barely going to be scratching the surface here, but you can be sure that the story will continue to expand. My watch is telling me I need to stand up right now, which is not going to happen. My iWatch. In the wake of the Washington Post / NBC story that Donald Trump had made some lewd remarks while speaking with Billy Bush over a decade ago, the media has been searching high and low for more women willing to accuse Donald Trump of inappropriate behavior. And again, one was Jessica Leeds. The first woman was uncovered by New York Times, and her name is Jessica Leeds, who said that Trump sexually assaulted her while on a flight some 30 years ago. Now she's bringing it up now. In fact, Leeds told the Times that later CNN and Trump were being extremely aggressive and groping and touching her wherever he could, and the man across the aisle simply watched it all transpire. However, Trump campaign produced the only other witness to the day's event, the day's event, a British man by the name of Anthony Gilberthrope, and his version of the event is completely contradictory to Leeds. It's completely different. So, and I know Trump was taking callers and stuff. Now, this would all happen in First Class 30 years ago. In First Class, she was saying that he lifted the divider. You can't lift the divider on the seats. There's no way to do so. So that was one thing that Rush learned. Anyway, quote unquote, I have only met this accuser once and frankly cannot imagine why she is seeking to make out that Trump made sexual advances on her. Not only did he not do so, and I was present at all times, but it was that she was the one being flirtatious. So, see, there you go. And I've been in this experience before. The woman was making all the advances at Trump. Anthony Gilberthrope said in a note provided to the Post by the Trump campaign, she wanted me to marry him. Gilberthrope said of Leeds, who apparently made the confession when Trump excused himself and went to the bathroom. There was no kissing, but the shrill Leeds was very much in your face with the real estate developer. So I'm not reading that correctly, but basically she was the one all over him, and he basically dismissed himself. And there's another quote. That was the first quote. I didn't do a very good job. What she said was, Trump is wrong. He told the Post, no decent human being could sit by and have a woman go on television and tell the United States of America, accuse an individual of sexually molesting. It's wrong for Trump. It's wrong for me. But you know something else? It's wrong for America people, he said. So I don't know where that fits in, but the bottom line is they have a witness, a witness, not even a character witness, a guy who actually came forth, a British guy, who was on that same plane with Trump 30 years ago, and this woman, and he says, no, that's not what really happened. And there was only a handful of people in any given plane that's in first class. Thank God this guy came forward, I'm telling you. So I apologize. You can read this on, again, it looks like theconstitution.com, and let's see if it has a date. I don't see any. But you could probably just look for the title, which is Mainstream Media, Trumpets Trump Sex Scandals. Oh, it was October 16th, but allegations immediately debunked. Second one was from Rachel Crooks, and there's actually a thing from Twitter on there, too. Is it Twitter or is it Facebook? Rachel Crooks was the other first revealed in New York Times piece about Trump's supposed sexual escapades, but she too was almost immediately called out for telling different stories from the one she's been spouting for years. Apparently, Mrs. Crooks met Donald Trump about 11 years ago and has long been telling anyone who will listen to about that day. The problem is that the story she now includes allegations of sexual sexual impropriety that it didn't include it in the original story she gave. So she's actually changing her story now. Years ago, when she met Trump, 11 years ago, she said how great of a man he is. Now she's saying she's incorporating now that he had now all of a sudden now that he also sexually assaulted her, even though he was treating her with like the best or the most utmost kindness, or whatever you want to say. So, let's see. Donald Trump, quote, was being nice to her and told her he would contact her for a modeling career, and he never did. End of story. That was it. Then it has these quotes. It looks like, again, I'm not sure. I think it might be from Twitter. Bernstein says of Crooks, I remember them talking about her meeting him, and her story today doesn't match the story she told 11 years ago. She definitely is lying. So she got caught in the lie. It says Lana Bernstein, she dropped out of college because she missed her family. She got a full scholarship to Syracuse and dropped out because she wanted to be closer to her family. She is a big baby. This is what was written. It doesn't actually give the time or date, but it's like one of these social media things. Julian Brackenfield. So when did she even meet Trump? Lana Bernstein says, it's like back and forth in a chat. She was working as a secretary for some company, and she met him that way. He was being nice to her and told her he would contact her for a modeling career, and he never did. End of story. Then it goes on, this guy named Jerry Waters. Freaking media, most are on the highway to hell with their Muslim heroes and jihadists and criminal Dems and GOP idiots. Lana Bernstein replies, I remember them talking about her meeting him, and her story today doesn't match the story she had told 11 years ago. She is definitely lying. This is what somebody wrote in the thing. So it was apparently somebody called this Rachel Crooks out on a social media thing who heard her story over, 11 years ago being repeated. And now all of a sudden, this Rachel has changed her story completely, and she got caught in a lie. So this is another thing. I mean, it just seems like it depends. If you're somebody of importance, now Trump is, if I remember looking at it correctly, his net worth is like $3 billion. So, but he never got attacked until now when he actually ran for a Republican Party candidate, as running for president under the Republican Party. Now, all of a sudden, he's like the worst person in the world out of nowhere. So there's another one, Kristen Anderson. Next came Kristen Anderson, who told the Washington Post that while at a crowded Manhattan night stop in the early 1990s, Donald Trump slid his finger up her skirt and touched her inappropriately. The problem here is that according to hacker activists at #anonymous, Anderson recently received a huge payoff from Team Clinton. So the same person who made this accusation that Trump had inappropriately touched her had also received a large payoff, literally. So there's some, what do you call it? One of those, it says Twitter. Peek a boo Hillary Clinton. We are prepared, anonymous, whatever. And it says, this isn't a tweet, this was all a planned attack payoff through friends. So that was a tweet, which actually you can link on to, I guess. I don't know. It was from 0 Hour 1, and then 0 Hour 1 puts, now look at the, AEGON group and Hillary Clinton, check the donor list, anonymous. We have been trailing Kristen Anderson for a long time. So she was paid to make up this bogus story. 0 Hour 1 had tweeted then, is that Aegon? Transamerica Insurance, Kristen Anderson did their headshot shoots April 2016, Goldman Sachs. So there's more to say on that one, I guess. So she was paid, but it wasn't just Kristen Anderson with a money trail leading back to Clinton. No, #anonymous also discovered the money trail leading back to a former apprentice contestant who made allegations against Mr. Trump this week, and that is Summer Nervos. Summer Nervos, a contestant on season 5 of the reality show, said in a press conference Friday that Trump kissed her several times and tried to force himself on her during 2 separate meetings in 2007. During the first meeting, Zervos met Trump at his office, and he kissed her on the lips when she arrived and when she left. But anyway, these are all allegations. The way I read is not very good. This made me feel very nervous and embarrassed, and this is not what I wanted or expected, Nervos had mentioned. However, on Friday, a cousin of Miss Nervos responded in shock at hearing her comments on Mr. Trump, because this person says her cousin responds by saying, "I am completely shocked and bewildered by my cousin Summer Nervos and her press conference today. Ever since she was on The Apprentice, she has had nothing but glowing things to say about Mr. Trump." The statements read, Barry said that Nervos frequently described Trump as a kind and an inspiration to her professionally, and that she converted her friends and her family to become Trump supporters. Now all of a sudden she's changed her tune, and it says that was until Summer invited Mr. Trump to her restaurant during the primary, and he said no. I think Summer wishes she could still be on reality TV, and in an effort to get that back, she's saying all these negative things about Mr. Trump. The statement continued. So she has a restaurant, this woman. She invited Mr. Trump. He could not make it, so now she's making up these accusations out of anger that he had assaulted me, or sexually assaulted me, which had never happened, according to this cousin of this woman whose name is Summer Nervos. And there's another part that says that's not how she talked about him before. I can only imagine that Summer's actions today are nothing more than an attempt to regain the spotlight at Mr. Trump's expense, and I don't think it reflects well. And it goes on to say earlier this morning that Trump campaign released the letter that Mr. Trump received from Miss Nervos just a few months ago. She doesn't seem upset with him. In fact, she praises him, and she asked for personal favors. So again, these women are the ones making these, being forward with Mr. Trump. And now all of a sudden it turns when he rejects their advances, and it automatically becomes that it's not that they're at fault. It's him. He's the one who is now like the sexual pervert and stuff out of nowhere. So it's his original message from Summer Nervos, sent Thursday, April 14th of 2016 at 3:30 p.m. And it's his subject matter was Summer Nervos Restaurant. And it says in her email, "Hello, I'm certain you are a very busy woman." Now, because this was sent to a Rona Graf. I guess that must be somebody who, basically checks Trump's emails and letters. That's what it looks like. So I'm not doing a very good job describing this. So that's what it says, though. "I'm certain you are a very busy woman. I am in a unique situation, being that I am the only former apprentice who operates a business where Mr. Trump's supporters can walk in, express their admiration for him, and inquire about my experience. Mr. Trump has a great deal of support in Huntington Beach, California. He has witnessed both my highs and lows in operating a small business, and I am pleased to report that business is good. Sonny's Restaurant," is the name of the restaurant, by the way, "has a long history of making people feel special. We hire a diverse crew and embrace anyone who is honest while working hard. Mr. Trump is cut from the same cloth. So she was basically praising the man. I'd greatly appreciate reconnecting at this time. We would know, he will know my intentions are genuine. Thank you, Summer Nervos. So it changes from this letter that I botched up to now that she makes these accusations that say that, oh, he made sexual advances at me, which never happened. She lied about everything. So it says afterwards, and again, hashtag Anonymous has released a cryptic tweet informing that the world that they are hot on the trail of the financial proof that Miss Nervos was bought and paid for by Clinton campaign. So that was another one from this person, hashtag on Twitter, hashtag Anonymous, who found that she also got paid off to say all these accusations. And she even went into some type of press conference or something, and she was crying and the whole 9 yards. The former apprentice in this thing from hashtag on Twitter says, hashtag Anonymous, I'm sorry. The former apprentice contestant was paid by a super PAC. Anons are closing on her bank account. We are ready. Another one from hashtag Anonymous says, Summer Zervos got a payout that she will be linked before we are finished tonight to Hillary Clinton network of schemes or scams. So I'm not going to read more because I'm just botching all these up, and it goes on for some more. But yeah, so the Hillary campaign is actually paying these women to, basically desecrate or, defamate, whatever you want to say, Trump. And so far, I don't think it's been doing that well. Because I think I read earlier on, let me see if I can find it again, where somebody actually posted, that thing I mentioned earlier. I think I sent it to a friend. Let me see if I can find it now. The truth about what actually is going on. Let's see if I can find it. Looking for, the polls that I found that Bill O'Reilly had, put upon, had taken it upon himself to do these polls that are actually more accurate, and it's showing that Donald Trump is at 86%. If you look at, it was on Fox News, he's at 86%, and Hillary's only at 14%. So you can't get any better than that, folks. You really cannot get any better than that. So it's just interesting how, the polls are going to do anything possible to just destroy this man because he's running as a Republican politician, and they are trying very hard. I'm telling you that much. So here are some other ones. Here was one I found from Breitbart. FBI agents furious at top brass for letting Hillary Clinton off the hook. So they're really pissed of how she got away with this scandal with these emails. So, and that's exactly what it is. This whole thing was this one big scandal. And, people are not too pleased about, or the FBI isn't. Long rumored dissent in the FBI ranks over Director James Comey's refusal to refer indictments against Hillary Clinton to Attorney General Loretta Lynch is finally boiling over, according to Fox News report. I'm not going to read. Yeah, this one's really long. And I'm already at an hour and a half. So I'm going to have to kind of gloss through these. I don't want to go any longer than 2 hours if I can help it. The decision to let Hillary Clinton off the hook for mishandling classified information has rolled the FBI and the Department of Justice, with one person closely involved in the year-long probe, telling FoxNews.com that career agents and attorneys on the case anonymously believed the Democratic presidential nominee should have been charged. So maybe I won't go any further on that one. So the bottom line is, I'll put in my own words because that's probably the best thing for me to do, that, yeah, the FBI is furious, is what I'm kind of gathering, that she got away with this whole thing with these this whole scandal with these emails. She should have really been charged and probably prosecuted. Well, definitely prosecuted for what she got away with. But she came out so to speak. She came out smelling like a rose. And now this is coming back, and hopefully it will somehow destroy her. I hope it does. So, that was Breitbart, or Breitbart, so you can find it there. I always say it wrong. Now, here's another one from Breitbart. That's how I found that one on Hillary. Marine veteran puts down puts nails in a board to protect his Trump sign, because apparently he keeps on putting up this Trump sign in front of his house, and cars run over it. So he got to the point he's gotten tired, and it says Marine veteran. So a supporter of the Republican Party nominee Donald Trump has gone to great lengths to protect his Trump sign. There's actually a video involved with this one, which I did not record anything on. Chuck Corey has decided to put down a nail board and put other things on his Trump sign in order to protect it from being run over by cars and vandalized. It has been reported by KXRM. It says Corey had put up his Trump sign near the road, but found that it kept on getting run over by cars. I mean, this is just ridiculous. This is the Democrats that are so open-minded, too, the Democratic supporters. And it says, quote, this, I think, is the fifth sign that I have put up, Corey said to KXRM. Quote, I am a Trump supporter, but I am pissed off. So the sign first went up around 3 weeks ago, but after it was vandalized, Corey decided to add a nail board to the sign designed to puncture the tires of any cars that run over it. And he puts, quote, it says, quote, from Corey again, they run over it again and a couple of times, so that's why I put nails on the board, basically nails on a board down. Corey said, I've never run into this kind of problem before, basically. So you can read the rest of Corey's story, this Marine vet, that what he's been encountering by people who are anti-Trump, and I'm sure it's not a lot of them. I'm sure it's maybe a handful, but they are obviously very vicious. And again, I'm going to gloss through this stuff just because I'm at almost an hour and a half, and I really didn't intend to make it this long. And I did put some plugs in, but that was only like a total of like 7 minutes probably. Another one from Breitbart. Hillary, it's on Goldman Sachs once again. Hillary Clinton to I'm sorry, I said it wrong. Goldman Sachs. I represented all of you for 8 years. Hillary Clinton told a private behind closed doors audience at Goldman Sachs that she represented all of you for 8 years in the United States Senate. Clinton said in an October 24th, 2013 speech to Goldman, according to the newly leaked Goldman Sachs speech transcript unearthed during the WikiLeaks dump on John Postada's email, I represented all of your 8 years. I had a great relationship and worked so close together after 9/11 to rebuild downtown, and a lot of respect for the work you do and the people who do it. But I read that wrong, so I apologize. I think that when we talk about the regulators and the politicians, the economic consequences of bad decisions back in 2008, were devastating. Were devastating. They were devastating. I'm not doing a very good job. I hate reading stories. And they had repercussions throughout the world. So anyway, it says that Clinton previously called herself Goldman Sachs' partner in government. So she's bad-mouthing, if I remember correctly, she is bad-mouthing Goldman Sachs now. But back in the day, she actually was a supporter and had taken, if I remember correctly, donations off of the same people. Now she is bad-mouthing. Then Senator Clinton, who was under fire from Bernie Sanders for her close ties to the investment firm, identified herself as a Goldman Sachs partner in government at the 2005 groundbreaking of the firm's new 740-foot-tall headquarters in Lower Manhattan. Goldman Sachs won federal government Liberty bonds to build it. Following the tragic events in September 11th, I was proud to have worked with my colleagues in Congress to secure $20 billion in federal aid for New York, Clinton said. Mayor employees like Goldman Sachs needed to know that they had a partner in the government to ensure that Lower Manhattan could continue to sustain their business in the area. I am pleased to be an ongoing partner in supporting the economic development in Lower Manhattan, and thank Goldman Sachs for their commitment to the future of Lower Manhattan and New York City. The Clinton campaign's budget strategies, Dan Burska, I can't pronounce that right. Do you know what I'm talking about? Maybe if Matt hears this. Was a vice president at the Goldman Sachs. So basically, she is very closely knit to Goldman Sachs, which she badmouths now, once again, I believe. But back then, she was pretty closely, favoring them and boasting about how she was working hand in hand with Goldman Sachs. Now, all of a sudden, she's against them. And there is people who will support this woman. Even though she's, I'm not doing a very good job, but she's a big liar. My friend Todd sent me this, so thank you so much. Now I'm back on track with these kind of stories. But Todd sent me something from Politico.com. North Carolina County GOP office attacked. Trump blames animals. So basically, they burned down a Trump, a location for the Trump party in North Carolina. Let me try to read this a little bit. It's not too long. And it was by Politico once again. A North Carolina Republican Party office, that's what I was looking for, was firebombed overnight, and threatening words painted nearby, party officials reported Sunday. According to the Charlotte Observer, the attack occurred in the party's Orange County office in Hillsborough. An explosive device was thrown through a window of the office, causing some damage. The words, "Nazi Republicans, leave town or else," were also painted on a nearby building. No injuries were reported, and no arrests have been made. Donald Trump blamed the attack on animals, representing Hillary Clinton, and expressed outrage and sympathy. Whether you are Republican, Democrat, or Independent, all Americans should be outraged by this hate-filled and violent attack against our democracy. Dallas Woodhouse, executive director of North Carolina Republican Party, said in a statement. Democrat presidential nominee Hillary Clinton spoke out against the attack on Twitter, calling it a horrific and unacceptable. That it was horrific and unacceptable. But I don't take that. I'm sure she had something to do with it. So, and there's some tweets back and forth, because I know Donald Trump himself likes using Twitter more so. I don't like Twitter, but I was forced to use it for a while and slowly getting back into using Facebook again. So even though I botched that story, yeah, it said damage done by a firebomb at North Carolina Republican Party office. Basically was done on, October 16th of this year, and it was posted at 4:19 p.m. So, yeah, the 16th. And so that was just yesterday the story was posted, by the way. from Politico. So thank you, Todd. I thank you a lot for that story. I'm trying to see what other stories. Oh, yeah, here's the one of many I found on Chelsea Clinton, all in the same thing. Chelsea Clinton, $10 million apartment, $3 million wedding, and $600,000 job a year job. But she doesn't care about money, though, is what she's saying. So this actually was from spinzone.com. There's some other links that I mentioned earlier during the program. So it says Chelsea Clinton is getting tangled up in her own words after she tried to convince the public that she was never in it for the money. Hillary and Bill Clinton's daughter gave an interview where she explained how the charity work she and her mother do is far more important than the income they receive politically-wise. I was curious if I could care about money on some fundamental level, and I couldn't. She said that she couldn't. Hillary Clinton insists that she isn't well off, and now her daughter Chelsea says she couldn't care less about money. I was curious if I could care about money or on some fundamental level, and I couldn't. She told the UK, The Telegraph, explaining why she gave up lucrative gigs to join her family. What is it called? Something Foundation. Philanthropic? I can't pronounce that, so I apologize. Comparing her experience to the average millennial, the 34-year-old former first daughter defended jumping around to different careers from consultant to a hedge fund to academia to journalism. Yeah, I know I messed it up big time. Before finding her true call and working with her parents. So basically she had changed her career quite a few times from working with hedge funds to journalism before she found her true call and working for her parents. Quote, it is frustrating because, this is Chelsea, it is frustrating because who wants to grow up and follow their parents? I've tried really hard to care about things that were very different from my parents. It's funny thing to realize I feel called to this work both as a daughter and also someone who believes I have contributions to make. She continued about her reluctant status as a boomerang kid. The Clinton name likely opened doors for many political hierarchies, including an eye-popping $600,000 annual salary for an irregular stint as an NBC special correspondent. But Chelsea insists her work speaks for itself. Well, I heard she doesn't really do much there. I don't know at this NBC thing. And again, if you want to read this, because I'm best when I kind of put things, I've said this a billion times in my own words. But I've gotten started really late. I want to go to bed at a decent time. I've been trying to catch on sleep for the last couple of days and always ruin it by being up all night. So I don't want that to happen again. I'm trying to see where I left off. It really doesn't matter because I messed up everything anyway. I will just always work harder than anybody else is what Chelsea's saying. I'm hopefully perform better, she said. I hopefully over time I preempt it and erase whatever expectations people have of me not having a good work ethic or not being smart or not being motivated. Well, she's taking tons of money off her parents, though. Mark Levinsky or something? Is that her husband? Is that how you say his name? Of Chelsea Clinton and former Goldman Sachs banker. So her husband was a former Goldman Sachs employee. So that's kind of funny. was also engaged in starring up his own hedge fund. What was it say? The acquisent sex. I can't pronounce. I need somebody here to help me with this stuff. Ceremony took place back in 2010 and resulted in the price tag of $3 million. Not bad for people who, with no interest in money, right? So, put it in my own words. This Chelsea, she married somebody who was a Goldman Sachs banker. She says that money is not important to her, but where did I read that? Let me see if I can find it because I made a thing of this, where it says that Chelsea doesn't, money is not everything to her, but yet it states that Chelsea Clinton had taken, lives in New York a $10 million apartment. She had a $3 million wedding, and her salary a year is $600,000. But money doesn't mean anything to her. That's the bottom line. If you take anything from what I've just said and screwed up, take that part. That should be enough. Now, I found this tonight from one of my new friends on my new Facebook account since the other one got destroyed. It was from endingthefed.com or ETF News. Now, it's about this guy, Tim Kaine, who will be running for Vice VP with Hillary. Tim Kaine caught on audio cursing out his 11-year-old daughter. Excuse me. So that's what it's titled. This man's going to be our vice president got caught cursing out his daughter. It says that the more we learn about Tim Kaine, the more we wonder what's wrong with this guy. Sure, he supports many of the same dangerous and failed leftist policies that we would expect from running mate of Hillary Clinton. Not much to surprise us there. But then it says, and he has ties to the Muslim Brotherhood, which should give any concerned American pause. Slow infiltration of American society by moving its members into key positions in the U.S. military, security, and other areas of government seem to be the Brotherhood's primary method of operation. So I mispronounced that first word. I apologize. The candidate for vice president would be revealed to be supportive of such should have disqualified himself. Blah, 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 blah. That of a candidate for vice president would be revealed to be supportive of should have disqualified him immediately. It's just something how it's worded. It's very difficult for me to read that. It's just not written, in my opinion, too well. And obviously I can't read things too well either. So it says, should we be unfortunate enough to see the Clinton-Kaine ticket victorious in November, will have not only the obvious menace to the Republican Hillary Clinton to contend with, but we would have the added danger of Tim Kaine ready to ascend to the presidency should something befall Hillary. So basically, if something happened to Hillary because of her being sick, you're going to be stuck with this guy, Tim Kaine, who's even worse. It's hard to think of a less hopeful situation. So again, just look for etfnews.com. It's actually endingthefed.com. So let me see if I can kind of look at something that's a little easier for me to read. Kaine, the hardcore left-winger with ties to Muslim Brotherhood once again, also seems to have some anger management issues, something else he allegedly shares with Hillary. What else would you say about someone who leaves a voicemail for his 11-year-old daughter, yelling and cursing at her, and calling the girl a pig? God, isn't that what Trump gets accused of? Call women pigs? But this is a little girl, 11-year-old. It's his own daughter. And this is actually Tim Kaine doing this. And actually, there's a recorded that message has gotten leaked. So I have a recording of it, which I'm not going to play. I should probably, but you can actually find it probably on YouTube. I could try to see if I can do it. A sorry excuse for a father would be one thought. A loose cannon would be another. This little kid and his own child were talking about, for goodness sakes, talking about what, though? It doesn't say. It says this is a little kid and his own child we are talking about, for goodness sakes. Apologize. I would play this, but I'm just really afraid. I'm going to see how long it would be. It's actually 2 minutes and 12 seconds. And here we thought Clinton Kaine tickets were admittedly opposed to being disrespectful to females. Apparently not. Mr. Kaine better watch his mouth when talking to his daughter, or he might see a photo of her in the paper wearing a Trump president button. So I'm almost tempted to see if I can download this and put this in my show last minute. Have a listen to the leaked voicemail, draw your own conclusions. So let me see if I can do this. Let me pause my show for a minute and see if I can kind of rip this on the fly of Tim Kaine cursing out his 11-year-old daughter, because this would actually be very entertaining. Maybe to redeem me from screwing up, even though it's already going on 2 hours. Let me stop.
You are now listening to the iWalter Show. Real talk about nothing.
Okay, hey, I'm back again. Yeah, I apologize about that. I kind of cut off abruptly and didn't even finish my last word. But why I did that, and I got to work with this stand thing on my mic. Well, it's because I actually did cut that. I didn't want to, but since I've been messing up a lot of these stories, I decided to go back. Now I'm trying to look for it. On our potential on the Democrat side, vice president. I just want this to talk. Yeah, Kaine wishes camera hadn't caught what he did while. Was it Kaine? It was Kaine, though, but he's basically yelling at his 11-year-old daughter. And here we go. Here's the one I'm looking for. Breaking news. Tim Kaine yells at 11-year-old daughter in leaked voicemail. Kaine explodes on 11-year-old with exclamation point. So I actually did rip it. I just didn't give myself the chance to, do this pause. So that's why it's a jump, and I had to put a little something in there in between. So I'm going to play that because I was not, and it is going on like 2 hours. It's going to bring it a little over. It's only like a 2-minute voicemail. It's actually shorter than my voicemails. My voicemail's gone for hours. So hopefully this will kind of redeem my mix-ups and problems with tonight's show, because I haven't done one in over a week and a half or whatever it is. So it's the first show I've actually put on. It's going to be on my new, unfortunately, it's going to be linked. I'm going to try to link it. And I am saying, unfortunately, to my new Facebook page as well. It's a brand new show. So I'm going to play that now. And I actually listened to it for the very first time. I just saw like the article on it. I didn't actually listen to it. This voicemail that he had left for his daughter, and it is pretty wild. Let me put it that way. So here we go. I'm going to play this thing from who you might have for the next 4 years as vice president, which I pray to God that this does not happen. So here we go right now. I'm going to play it right this moment.
Hey, I want to tell you something, okay? And I want to leave a message for you right now, because again, it's 10:30 here in New York on a Wednesday, and once again, I've made an ass of myself trying to get you a phone to call you at a specific time. When the time comes for me to make the phone call, I stop whatever I'm doing, and I go and I make that phone call. At 11 o'clock in the morning in New York, And if you don't pick up the phone at 10 o'clock at night, and you don't even have that goddamn phone turned on, I want you to know something, okay? I'm tired of playing this game with you. I'm leaving this message with you to tell you, you have insulted me for the last time. You have insulted me. You don't have the brains or the decency as a human being. I don't give a damn that you're 12 years old or 11 years old, or that you're a child, or that your mother is a thoughtless pain in the ass who doesn't care about what you do as far as I'm concerned. You have humiliated me for the last time with this phone. And when I come out there next week, I'm going to fly out there for the day just to straighten you out on this issue. I'm going to let you know just how disappointed in you I am and how angry I am with you that you've done this to me again. You've made me feel like shit, and you've made me feel like a fool over and over and over again. And this crap you pull on me with this goddamn phone situation that you would never dream of doing to your mother, and you do it to me constantly and over again. I am going to get on a plane, and I'm going to come out there for the day, and I'm going to straighten your ass out when I see you. Do you understand me? I'm going to really make sure you get it. Then I'm going to get on a plane, I'm going to turn around, and I'm going to come home. So you better be ready Friday, the 20th, to meet with me. So I'm going to let you know just how I feel about what a rude little pig you really are. You are a rude, thoughtless little pig, okay?
To replay this message.
Okay, that was Tim Kaine, by the way. So, yeah, this is what you're going to have to look forward to as a vice president. A nice man who can control his control his temper, and then a woman who just plain outright lies. I mean, this is great. You got, a great pick on the Democratic Party, for both president and vice president. If that's what you want, go right ahead. But you know what? I don't know what to say. I hope people are actually not that dumb, but you don't know. Hold on one second. But I don't know. I'm starting to lose faith in our country, but a lot of this is built up, honestly, from the left and the media. Well, actually, yeah, the left, yes, that's a given. But I mean from the media and stuff, just basically bringing all this nonsense to light, or making up lies for the Republican side and boasting about how great and this is all made up stuff on the left, which is actually the truth of them being a mess. So I don't know. I'm not doing a very good clear job. I'm not doing a good job of clarifying what I'm trying to say or whatever. It's too early in the morning for me now. I'm actually trying to get back on at least for the next day or two, a normal sleep schedule. Anyway, on a lighter note, just to lighten the mood for about a second or so, because it is going on 2 hours, and I want to wind up this show. But if you live around where I do, it's this 109 West Lancaster Avenue in Wayne, which is kind of a hike for me. They're actually on Sunday, October 30th. They're going to be showing it at this movie house, Bride of Frankenstein, which would be pretty cool. I do want to do something for Halloween, something Halloween-y, because I'm a weenie. No, seriously, I really do. Halloween is the one holiday I actually look forward to. I say this for the past year or 2 years I've done podcasts, and nothing ever develops. I mean, there was a couple times we did stuff. Me and a friend or another friend would go to these haunted houses or something, and actually I enjoy it. It doesn't grow old for me. I actually enjoy it, and it makes my Halloween. I've never really gone to any Halloween parties except once, and I think this year we may not, so I don't know. I don't know what else to say. And a lot of these stories I'm hoping actually at this point might be just redundant. Actually, here's one. It was actually as a Twitter leak on my Twitter account. Somebody have added on. And it was hashtag women who vote Trump. And they're definitely showing, it's another thing. I mean, how much do people need to see of the truth to change their mind? And it says, France, girl dress is pulled up by Muslims, like this Muslim guy. And they show the video The video is actually actually the girl's ass is not bad looking. Seriously though, it's kind of disturbing, and it says watch how rape refugees treat women with like an explanation point. Hillary wants to bring 550% more of these Muslim refugees into our country, and it says from Tennessee GOP. But actually, this was it's from Tennessee GOP, but that actually was put up on Twitter. That was another link on Twitter. But these are women that support Trump, and they're just trying to say, listen, we don't want this garbage. We don't want this trash in our country. You know, we don't want to, as a woman, these people that are, not me, but these women don't want this riffraff in their country that they got to worry about, being raped by these misfits, literally. So, yeah, there's something on Tennessee. This is on Twitter, Tennessee GOP. Women for Trump, and there's these, attractive-looking women holding these signs for "Make America Great," Trump, Pence, the different signs. So it's a Twitter pic. So I mean, it's cool. I mean, they try to make it out that these women are not like women aren't for Trump, but there is so many women that are saying the complete opposite from what I've seen and what I am seeing. So they're just trying to destroy. The liberal left is just trying to destroy Trump just because he's running for he's running as a Republican for president. And this would not happen if it was, reversed. And actually, Rush said this same kind of statement almost the other day. Like he was pointing out people like JFK, which I always thought I always put on a pedestal. And, some of the other Kennedys, the stuff they've done, scandals and the whole thing with Bill Clinton and these sex scandals going on with him. It's just like it's just kind of swept under the rug. Like they're not doing anything wrong, and yet they, and they just like the media will rub it off. But now, yet if these stories are not even they're actually stories being made up about Trump and other people that ran, like I'm trying to think from the last election. God, I'm drawing a blank. I'm just so tired. But they went out to destroy the man who was running for president last time, and they were successful. They admitted that it was all lies. So I got to figure out it was. God, why am I drawing a blank? Probably, again, it's too early in the morning. I'm trying to type it in because it'll come to me. Mitt Romney. I did come to me. Yeah, when Mitt Romney ran, it was like Trump. Rush was talking about that. It was like they destroyed that man, saying that he hated women and he hated equal opportunity and he hated animals and all this other shenanigans. And it was all based on lies. None of it was true because they couldn't get him on a sex scandal, Rush said, because the man was like, what was his religious belief? It just, he was a Mormon. I think, was it a Mormon? I can't remember, but the point is, they had to find other tactics, and they were really successful in destroying him. So that was what I wanted to say. Now, here's something funny. This is what caught my attention because I got a lot of Republican conservative links on my Twitter page as well now, especially at this point in time. And it said Trump the Hill, and it was from #WomanWhoVoteTrump. And there's this video, which is actually really disturbing, where Biden, our vice president now, is actually being a little perverse with a little girl. And it's caught on camera. It says, let's see, Republican, what is it, bomber for Ohio, reelect House Speaker. And there's this video where you can see his body language or whatever with this little girl with Biden, like he's like doing stuff that looks very inappropriate. So I'm going to see if I can kind of explain it. Yeah, he's like reaching down and like saying little stuff. It looks a little bit, it was on C-SPAN. That's what I was looking for. And this girl looks very uncomfortable, this young girl. She looks very uncomfortable. In fact, I'm looking at now, she's stepping away from him, like trying to make distance from him. So obviously she was not too comfortable with whatever he said. But it says, wonder why Joe Biden gets a pass on inappropriate touching. Yikes. If it was Trump, imagine the MSN headlines. Okay, yeah, there was like a little bit of him groping, not even this, like in a good way. He was groping, and the girl's trying to step away. Biden, and they're showing it over and over again. And this was from hashtag Women Who Vote Trump on Twitter, where he's like groping, like it looks like a 10-year-old's breast when she doesn't have any yet. I mean, either way, and it's like different various videos where he's just making, being like a little bit of like a sexual advances on camera, on live TV. Biden is. So it's different ones, but there's one he's actually literally, his hand creeps down from her shoulder, and the girl obviously looks very uncomfortable. And he's starting to move his hand over a little girl's breast, where it would be, so to speak. So, yeah, you can see this. It's on, and it's different young girls that he seems to, on live TV. I thought it was just the one, but there's actually different ones where Biden is like literally, you can tell it appears to be like he's groping these girls, and they're little kids. I mean, you're talking like under the age of 10. So, yeah, he has some type of sexual perversity that he didn't even try to hide. So, and I mean, I'm looking at it now. So I apologize. I thought it was different ones. And yeah, you can't see, but you know what? Yeah, and this is on C-SPAN too, it says. These are different takes of, our vice president. I mean, on live TV, folks, is like groping little girls, and it's not even hidden. So, yeah, to say the least, it's very inappropriate. Yeah, there's one Trump, at Trump Hill, creepy clown in Joe Biden, and he's like, Joe Biden is like groping some, like there's different pictures. And these are women that are putting up these links on Twitter. And these women look very uncomfortable where he's actually literally groping different women. And like I said, little girls as well, because that was shown on video. So, yeah, I guess it just kind of spills out on Twitter when you found the one with him groping little girls, that then it just goes into him, other people put up stuff. Biden does it in front of us. Outraged Dems won't talk about creepy Joe Biden. Or Joe's, whatever, because it's cut off. Joe's, yeah, it's cut off. And it's him, like, groping little girls, women, like, literally groping them on TV. Like, grabbing them at the waist, grabbing little girls, and basically putting his, whispering stuff into their ears to... Who knows what he's saying, making inappropriate gestures to little girls. And then on top of it, I'm looking at these pictures right now. I'm not making this stuff up. And like I said, I can do screenshots, but who am I going to show it to? Because I don't know who would be interested. I just know they're here. And he's like some woman, I don't know who she is. He's like literally grabbing her waist. And, yeah, they call him, like, I guess, like the creepy clown. Because it's very inappropriate. And they're letting him get away with it because, he's a Democrat. He can do that. But if you're a Republican, you're not doing this stuff and you get accused of this. So this is really weird. Now, Now, I don't know where I got this from. It was Todd or what. I think I found this on my own. I forget where I linked it from, but it was dailycaller.com. Women tweet why they're voting for Trump. Now, this was one, the Daily Caller one was actually one that I do remember Rush Limbaugh mentioned it on the show. Female Twitter users are tweeting their support for Donald Trump using the hashtag. That's where I got this link from originally. Hashtag women who vote Trump, which is trending on the social media site with more than 75,000 tweets. Now, these are women. That's great. Trump has faced a difficult week in the polls, particularly among female voters, after a 11-year-old Access Hollywood audio tape refaced on the presidential hopeful, referring to women in a demeaning manner in a conversation with Billy Bush. Additionally, mainstream media sources have been awash with stories about cases of Trump allegedly sexually assaulting various women. It says a 538 article by Nate Silver showed that it was Trump's relative lack of support among female voters that was doing him the most harm. And it shows like two diagrams. I remember Rush did a better job. He actually read this story on his show, and he did a much better job than I am doing right now. So I remember when he was reading this. But it says what 2016 would look like if it was just all men voting. And it was pretty much 3/4 of the country would vote for Trump, obviously. And, they would vote for a Republican. But it says what 2016 would look like if it was just women voters. And it's showing that it was from, thanks Nate Silver 538 on Twitter, it would be predominantly all blue states. Like most of the states would vote, except, your states that are not on either coast would all vote for, Hillary. So, but when you look at like actually close to the tweets on Twitter, it speaks completely different from what I just said. It actually shows that more women basically are supporting Trump than what they're actually showing you in the news, on the news. Now, I said a lot of these are redundant, which they are on these stories, but I can't get enough of just reading about Chelsea. The Daily Caller News Foundation leaked Chelsea used fake names while raising big bucks for Clinton Foundation. So this one's a little different. So that's good. Chelsea Clinton set up multiple email accounts under various aliases while working with Clinton Foundation, one which she used to solidify donations from left-wing billionaire Tom Steyer, according to the leaked emails published on Thursday. So here you go again. You're getting all this stuff. Make sure my sound's going to come out correctly. Yeah, I mean, Chelsea is, she's no better. What is it? That old saying, I'm going to say it wrong, but I'm going to try to say it anyway. The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree or something like that. Like, she's not too far from being corrupt herself. She grew up with all this corruption. It's no surprise. And I'm not dismissing that it, she is old enough to make her own decisions. If she grew up in a corrupt and ruthless family, she should be able to know better by now. But obviously she doesn't. She enjoys what her parents have given her, which is like basically everything she's ever wanted without even having to work for it. I'm saying Chelsea. There's a quote that says, Tom may be interested in supporting the Clinton Foundation. Chelsea, who sits on the board of the Clinton Foundation, said in a 2012 memo to the Democratic operative John Posada, she was referring to ways in which her mother's charity could garner momentarily and in-kind support for Steyer, a mayor Democratic money man and a former colleague of Postada. Now, I know I messed up everything there, but maybe you can kind of decipher through that. It was on Daily Caller News Foundation. And it was actually dated October 14th of this year or so from Chris White. Chelsea, the only daughter of the former President Bill Clinton and Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton, used the fake name Diane Reynolds during her correspondence with Hillary's right-hand man, among other members of the former Secretary of State presidential campaign. The hacked emails also show Chelsea created another email account under the name of Ann James, which appears to be in a New York University email address. She has served as assistant vice president for the Global Network University of New York University since 2010. The daughter of the Democratic nominee has used the name of Diane Reynolds in the past, including when she checks into hotels. But has resurfaced recently thanks to WikiLeaks, this alias name that she goes under, Chelsea does. The recent leaks show that Chelsea was actually using the name as a tool during her work with the Clinton Foundation. Postada, for his part, condemned the hacked emails Monday, telling reporters he doesn't know where the unauthentic emails came from. The Diane Reynolds memo was one of 4,000 emails that had been leaked over the course of the election session. Wow, this is long. I'm not going to read this whole damn thing. The former hedge fund manager for Farland Capital has become a world beater in the world of Democratic politics. And I am over 2 hours right now, so I'm going to cut that one short, I think. I don't know if I should read anymore, but it's really kind of it's interesting. You know, all the corruption even with their daughter. Let me just read this last paragraph, and I apologize because I'm going to mess this up just as much as everything else. Stayer's Political Action Committee, Next Gen Climate, for instance, spent about $20.7 million in independent expenditures in 2014, mostly propping up Democrats and environmental positions. He has spent more than $13 million so far this election year, according to the OpenSecrets.org. Steyer has donated about $40 million to Democrats so far this election season. So, if you want to read it, because I've obviously screwed this really up, the Daily Caller, it was on the 14th of this month, and look for Chris White and look for the story that says leaked. Chelsea used fake names while raising big bucks for Clinton Foundation. So if I was a Democrat even, which I'm not, I would be very appalled by this, happening. Not appalled that this came out. I'd be appalled listen, you know what? If the shoe was on the other foot and this was happening on my party, I would say right away, I'm either, which I wouldn't, I would still definitely vote, but I would try to change parties very quickly. And if I couldn't, then I wouldn't vote. If the shoe was on the other foot, is what I'm trying to say. I have another one from the Daily Caller News, by the way. Leaked full transcripts of Clinton's Goldman Sachs speeches. I know now this is becoming redundant, but I realize that because I've already discussed about Goldman Sachs earlier. Goldman Sachs. In a move that will likely please supporters of Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, the transcripts of the Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton's paid speeches to Wall Street are now public following a new information dump by WikiLeaks. The latest batch of John Postada's hacked emails released by WikiLeaks, I'm probably saying his name wrong, I realize that, this morning featured an email with the subject Goldman Sachs paid speeches, and included in the attachment are full text of 3 private paid speeches Clinton made to Goldman Sachs, which I think I mentioned earlier how much that was. In one of the presentations released by WikiLeaks, Clinton about Syria, Saudi Arabia is funding jihadists, and that she's doubtful that Assad or Sikh will move out of the way. An excerpt from Clinton's speech to Goldman Sachs, October 24th, 2013 reads. So I really didn't want to read this. Now, it says here, I might try to kind of suffer through it and then just like drop it and you can read the rest yourself. But it says Saudi Arabia gave upwards of $25 million to Clinton Foundation. So she's in bed with even our enemies. But this quote from Goldman Sachs, I guess, in this excerpt. See, it's too early. I mean, I've never done a 3-hour show, and I really don't like doing them. And I've gotten close, but at least I have somebody to talk to when I do so. If you look at what's happening in Syria, it is clearly a multiply-leveled proxy battle. We've gotten Iran with their agents in Hezbollah, and they're being taken on by indigenous rebels, but increasingly a collection of jihadists who are funded by Saudis, funded by Emirates. Was that Emirates? Funded by Qatar. And you have the Turks that were very active in the beginning, but then began to be concerned by some of the development inside of Syria, particularly among the northern and northeastern Kurdish population in Syria. Again, this is something you need to read. I think it is actually important for somebody who is politically concerned of what's going on should read this. But yeah, the full transcripts of Clinton's Goldman Sachs speeches is what it's titled. So there is a lot of maneuvering still going on. I'm hopeful that there will be success with the chemical weapons peace, and I'm hopeful there will be a peace conference. But I'm doubtful that Assad will move out of the way, so I think you're in for 6 to 12 months at least of further stalemates where it's still very active. Civil conflicts. So again, you really kind of need to read that on your own. I've got to stay away from this. I never do. And I always say I will. Yeah, I don't know. I just need to take a breather for a minute too, folks. So that's what I'm doing. I really am. Whew. Okay. And it's like an hour and 2 hours, 2.5 hours. That's way, way too long for me to go on. So if there's any more redundant stories, I might just try to let them go. A lot of these are like these stories I originally posted at the beginning of the night. I didn't think I was going to be able to do even an hour show. I didn't think I was going to do a 3-hour show. We're all from, like, mainly believe it or not, the Daily Caller, which I'm finally getting to. Now, here's one that's interesting, because I did hear Rush talk about this. I've heard it from other sources. I'll try not to get too close to reading it, but it is titled, from Daily Caller, WikiLeaks, Clinton tells union members anti-fracking extremists should get a life. Here's a woman who says she's against fracking, and yet she was all for it, and now she's changing her tune. Yeah, it's in that plethora of hacked emails, because this time I'm doing it smart. I'm just kind of glancing through it. And it says emails on Monday telling reporters he doesn't know where the unauthentic emails originated. The Clinton fracking admission was one of nearly 6,000 emails that have been leaked over the course of the past couple of months. So this is all coming out, and these are, it's one of these things, I joke about it, but she really is like, I neither confirm or deny that this is actually her emails, is what she's kind of saying in a roundabout way. I make that joke because it's a Nixon comment from years ago where they ask him, I forget what it was, and he says, I neither confirm or deny it. Basically saying that, yeah, I'm guilty, but I'm not going to admit to it. And she's doing the same freaking thing. She's worse than Nixon ever was. And I realize, I believe, Nixon was, as a Republican, it has nothing to do with it. I told you. If somebody lies, I don't care who you are or what party you stand for. If I have to, I'm not afraid to change or just not vote if that comes down to it. I'm actually looking because my friend Matt said, "You don't know this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I actually don't know." So I'm actually looking up for Nixon. Yeah, Republican Party. I thought so. I just wanted to. You know what? I don't keep every minute detail. Even to me, it should be important, but it really isn't on Nixon. So, besides, they made a big thing about him. Now, this is one I'd love to read, but honestly, I'm just getting really tired, folks. But it was from the Daily Caller, and it was in the political section. It says, the Apprentice contestant accused Trump of making sexual advances. You look at her, she's not a bad-looking lady, but at the same time, you can tell that it's all staged as well. So, and actually one person who is defending, because I had it in here too, is Ben Carson is defending Trump about these nonsense accusations made about him. So I would really like to read that one, but it's not worth it because I've read it earlier and I messed it up, and I'm going to read a different source, and I'll mess that up too. So actually this does say, Ben Carson blasts news coverage on Trump's allegations. What a bunch of crap. Oh, excuse me, that slipped out. Yeah, Ben Carson, a former Republican presidential candidate, says it's a bunch of crap that news organizations are focusing on publishing allegations of inappropriateness against Donald Trump rather than report on the political issues of importance. They're doing everything to divert the attention off of Hillary, because once it's on her, she'll be guaranteed to lose. That's the issue there. So that's another thing. I think I skipped from one story to the next, but I needed to, because quite honestly, I really need to end this show. I don't think it's going to be a very good one. It's not the first one. It's been pretty bad, but this is going to be another one in the mix of bad stories for me. So, that being said, I do kind of trying to make a... Sorry about that. I'm trying to make a cover thing for my story tonight. A cover for my podcast. Fortunately, it's going to be the first one. Might be with Hillary's face on there. God, what a way to start. That's bad karma right there. Really. So anyway, folks, hey, if you listened to my new setup and you enjoyed it, that's great. My heart goes out to you as well, because I know I couldn't do it. It would just be too painful. It's going to be painful because I do listen back to my shows as well. But I thank you if you do listen to me. And please, if you do, continue to, or at least try to, because I promise you I will have some better shows hopefully in the near future. And if I'm really lucky, I'll be able to set the one up with Roberto who was responsible for the series of Phantasm movies. That's my goal. So anyway, thanks again for listening to me. This one's really long. I know I'm not going to listen to the whole thing. And folks, you have a good week, and sometime during the week I will try to do a show. This is iWalter, and I am signing off for now.